Welcome to Click to Learn More, the show that sounds like clickbait,
but it's actually two dorks.
I'm Liddy.
I'm Dorm.
And today, Dorm, it's been a while since I talked about murder. I'm just gonna be honest with you. We did, because I did. It's been.
That's right. Because then we said we were going to make a Stained podcast. Welcome to episode 2 of the Stained
Fancast.
Stained by Music.
Mm-hmm. It's called the Tide Pin podcast.
Ooh,
Get it?
that's
Because it's stained.
Kids are eating those.
No, that's the Tide Pods.
And I'm pretty sure it's Tide Pins.
Oh, they're eating the pins.
Yeah. Quicker access.
Oh my gosh.
Hard-lining Tide Pins.
Could you imagine? Don't imagine it.
Imagine all the people.
Could you imagine like your stationery set just like screwed up now because you don't have your Tide Pin anymore?
Oh no, how are you going to write?
How are you going to write to Tide? With that specific Tide Pin you had.
You're going to pin the letter to Tide.
The last episode that I did was about lipstick.
Correct.
And at the very end of it, I tied in a little bit of true crime because it's me.
What's true crime?
True crime is crime that's true.
Oh, as opposed to that
fake crime.
Highfalutin false crime.
As opposed to that fake crime you've heard so much about.
Yeah.
So last time we talked a little bit about trace evidence and how lipstick can be found in crime scenes and how that can be used to solve crimes because of DNA evidence, etc.
Good Kendrick Lamar song, etc.
Oh, I thought you were going to do DNA, and then you set me up. You set me up.
Being a doofy.
Set me up for
I meant DNA.
Doofy
Hi,
joke. Set me up for a doofy joke. Today, we're kind of gonna talk about something that can shed some light on a crime scene.
The sun?
Yeah. No,
Ooh.
we're gonna talk about luminol.
What's luminol?
Get ready.
Okay.
So you know, I'm gonna start by giving a little bit of a background, and then you're gonna tell me everything you know.
Yes. Okay. Good.
Okay. So in CSI and any of these like true crime shows you see,
all the law and orders, all the laws and the orders.
We're sued. Dick Wolf sues us instantly. Don't use. It's his personal music. Can't use it. Sued. Off the air forever. That's us. This is great for the audio version.
That's how the SVU theme ends.
Doom doom. Anyway, so in CSI, in all of these shows, Law and Order, whatever, when there's a crime scene where they suspect there's blood there, but they can't actually see it.
That's when they send in the Bloodhound Gang.
They send in the Bloodhound Gang, but they also send in luminol.
Yes.
So basically, in the shows, what they do is they kind of spray it willy-nilly all over the room.
Oh, poor Willie.
They turn off the lights. It glows blue. Holy crap, there's blood here. There's been a murder.
Yeah.
Cue credits. So
I'll get into what I know from...
Okay.
When you say luminol, my immediate scene goes to Gone Girl.
Okay.
Have you seen Gone Girl?
No.
Okay. So there's a scene in Gone Girl where they use luminol.
Oh.
And I think they even name drop it, maybe? I'm not sure. But...
Interesting. Okay.
It's a great film. You would like it, I think.
I've heard a lot of people say very positive things.
It's very good. I own it.
I don't like Ben Affleck.
Dude, that's okay, actually, for this film.
Oh.
He's kind of a dick.
So he's playing himself.
Yeah, a little bit.
Dunked
on the ass.
Dunked. Got him.
Get ass.
Got Benny. Got him.
Got flecked.
Flecked him. So, in crime scene investigation...
he got deflected. That's good, I'm sorry.
Been flected.
Oh.
The smallest aspects can turn a case on its head. So, sometimes the smallest amounts of trace evidence can take a cold case... can open a cold case, can get a crime scene that perhaps had stalled or stopped in some way going again.
Okay, for those of... it is sort of well known now that I know a bit about true crime because of my mom.
Yes.
Who is very into true crime.
Yes.
For those people who might not know, is cold case common knowledge enough? Or do you think that...
I would say
what denotes a cold case? Is it 15 years? Is it a time period? Or is it just...
So it's usually when you run out of evidence, when you run out of suspects, when you run out of leads.
Okay.
So I think it's denoted I don't know for sure, but I think
Sure.
it's denoted by, like, the investigative team. They hit a wall. They say, we're so sorry, but
More
there's
like a stamp than
there's literally
Got
no other avenues for us to take. We've done everything we could possibly do. We're going to put it in a folder. We're going to put it in a file. We're going to close it. And hopefully someday technology gets to the point where we can come
Sure.
back to this evidence and
There's
solve this
thing
crime
in
for you.
20 years called DNA that's going to
Right.
revolutionize all
Yeah.
these cases.
There's DNA evidence that we can do. There's blood analysis we can do. You know, like a lot of, there's actually a program on Hulu right now that is called Cold Cases, and they go back to cases that have been considered cold cases, and they open them back up and they try to solve them.
Sure.
And a lot of times, and it's going to sound kind of crappy, but a lot of times it's poor police work, or kind of lazy police work that causes this to happen, which is kind of bad. But I mean, sometimes, you know, in these times, like in the 70s and the early 80s, it was kind of like, we don't have the technology. Sorry.
Well, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about luminol.
Okay.
So luminol is used in a lot of true crime shows, as we said, when a forensic investigator believes that a crime scene has been scrubbed clean of blood, typically,
Okay.
or believes that there may be like some small droplets somewhere that are not visible by the naked eye.
Okay.
Besides luminol, there's also something called blue star, lumicine, and fluorescein. So there's a lot of different versions of this, but for the podcast, we're going to talk about luminol.
Is luminol called luminol just because of the chemical composition, or is that like a trademarked thing?
It is named. It was named by a scientist.
Okay. But it's not like a company owns luminol.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
It was specifically named luminol, and we'll get into the history of it a little bit.
Okay.
But it was specifically named luminol, and then there's been branches of that since.
Got it.
So in real life, forensic investigators or criminalists use luminol to detect trace amounts of blood at crime scenes. So trace amounts just means small amounts. It's been used for more than 40 years.
Okay.
And is considered a fairly effective and important method for the presumptive detection of blood stains at a crime scene. So I say presumptive, and we'll get into that later, is because you can see that they assume there's blood there or some foul play has happened there, but until you do DNA analysis, there's no way to tell for sure.
Somebody could have a nosebleed 2
Right.
weeks ago.
Right. So basically what we're saying is we think there's something here. We're presuming there's something here, but until we make sure one way or the other with scientific evidence, there's no way to know.
Sure.
So this includes aspects of the crime scene that are quote-unquote hidden. Luminol can detect the presence of blood at dilutions of up to 1 part per million.
Jeez.
And can still detect blood in a crime scene years after it's been there.
Wow.
So years after. It's highly sensitive to blood stains or residues, even to old stains, like I just said,
Yeah.
in walls, carpets, upholstery, wooden floors, or painted surfaces. So it can pick up on all of this stuff. So besides being useful in locating minute amounts of blood, it's also observed on surfaces that could indicate such things as like the route of exit that the person may have taken that caused this
Sure.
crime, like footprints or shoe prints.
Yeah.
Drag marks in the blood. So if one person, like they found the body somewhere else, but there's a drag mark
Yeah.
that indicates that that body has been moved from perhaps where the crime took place, or an attempt to clean up the blood, which would be an attempt to destroy the evidence in the first place.
Right.
Innocent people normally don't try to clean up blood in crime scenes
Sure.
that
Yeah.
they caused. If it's an accident, you don't start cleaning up the blood before you call the police.
Right.
Typically. So what is luminol? I'll tell you. Luminol is a chemical that exhibits chemiluminescence.
Okay, so made brighter by chemistry.
Which is, it's the emission of light or luminescence
Yeah.
as the result of a chemical reaction.
Sure.
So
Okay.
a chemical reaction is causing this light.
Yeah.
It normally has a bluish, greenish glow, and it has to be mixed with a proper oxidizing agent.
Okay.
It's
that makes
normally like oxygen or hydrogen dioxide, I think. We'll talk about that a little later.
sense. Okay.
So common oxidizing agents are oxygen, hydrogen peroxide. That's what I was thinking.
Gotcha.
Fun fact, this is also how fireflies, or what we call lightning bugs, and light sticks glow, like glow sticks. This is the same kind of luminescence.
This is because correct me if I'm wrong, in like fireflies, it's bioluminescence, right? Yes. Which is also how those glowy fish glow.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So this is all from the same lanternfish and stuff like that. Processes. Cool.
Yeah. So basically, there's a lot of chemistry and a lot of science that takes place, and I'm going to try to explain it in a way that I understand.
Okay.
Without it becoming too much to handle, because I got kind of into it and read a lot about it, and then I was like, I have no clue what any of this means.
It's so deep.
It's a lot of chemistry, and it's a lot of like, here's how many neutrons and electrons, and I was just like, I don't.
Sure.
Show me the pretty words. I don't understand. Luminol, normally in its solid state, is white to pale yellow, kind of a beige-y color, and it's a solid or a powder, typically.
Oh, I was picturing a liquid.
So you mix it.
Oh, it's like a concentrate.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
So you have to mix it. It's soluble in polar organic solvents, but not in water. So it will not dissolve in water.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. It's made of...
What is polar organic solvent? Like milk? Like cold milk?
Polar organic solvent is going to be like our hydrogen peroxide.
Oh, right. Okay,
something that it can actually dissolve in, because it won't dissolve in water, which I think is interesting. Cause
I was thinking of organic in the life sense and not in the chemistry sense.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Just means, okay.
I got you. It's made up of nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon.
Oh,
which are all
the classic NHOC.
Which are
the
naturally...
four most common elements in
naturally occurring,
right?
Mm-hmm, yeah, naturally occurring elements. Hydrogen peroxide and luminol are the principal players in the chemical reaction. Those two things are normally combined to create the luminescence that you see from luminol.
Yeah.
In order to produce the strong glow, they need a catalyst to accelerate that process. So those two things together are fine, but until you have that catalyst, you won't get a glow. Okay. So the catalyst is the hemoglobin, the iron in your hemoglobin, which is in the blood of all animals with a vertebrae. So, so it's a protein within red blood cells within all vertebrates. And hemoglobin, I didn't know what hemoglobin did. Like, I had heard of it before, but it carries oxygen from the lungs to the rest of your body.
Okay.
So it goes throughout your body.
I'm remembering this as you're saying it from biology, but I couldn't have told you what hemoglobin was.
So here's a little bit of science, and bear with me.
Okay.
So the molecules break down the atoms and rearrange to form different molecules.
Sure.
So in this particular reaction, when this happens, the reactants, which are the original molecules, end up having more energy than the products, which are the resulting molecules.
Yeah.
So the molecules get rid of the extra energy in the form of light.
Right.
Yes,
okay.
So that's where our light photons come from, and that's why we get the glow.
Got it.
So biologists also use, they use luminol as well, but for the sake of the podcast, we're going to be talking about how it's used in the true crime aspect, not necessarily the biology aspect.
Sure.
So it is used in other ways, but we're going to use it in the crime solving kind of way. So trace amounts, which if you said before means just small amounts, of an activating oxidant make the luminol emit that bluish or greenish tint. And it can be seen in a darkened room when it's used at a crime scene. So normally they like tape off the windows, they close the doors, they close the curtains. It has to be really, really dark. Go ahead.
So a couple of things that you mentioned have reminded me of photochemical mixing, which is, you have your dark room and then you have your sort of, this is fine until you mix it. My question from that being, is there sort of an expiration on when you can use it? Like, do you have to mix it on the spot and then use it? And if you don't know, sorry, but I wonder if there's like a use by date almost.
My understanding is that there is a use by date. You can mix it and have it like in a plastic bottle, typically in a sprayer, and it will last for a little bit until it hits that. So that right there is not causing a chemical reaction until it hits the iron in the hemoglobin.
Right. Okay.
So it can last for a little bit and kind of, I don't think it has to be like kept in a specific way.
Okay.
But that I could be corrected because that could be wrong.
Sure.
But it doesn't begin the chemical reaction itself until it hits the iron in the hemoglobin. Yeah. So it won't like destroy itself over time or anything. Right. So it, like I said, normally requires a completely dark room. But other ones, like the other ones I mentioned at the beginning, they can function in kind of like just low light rooms. So they don't have to be completely dark rooms, which is kind of neat. I guess it's evolving as we go. Now, the glow only lasts around 30 seconds, which I thought was interesting because, like, in TV shows, it's like the whole place lights up blue. You can
walk around, yeah.
And they'll come back 2 days later and it's still bright blue.
Right.
It only lasts about 30 seconds, but a lot of criminologists will capture this with, they'll use long exposure photography.
Right.
Or they'll record it with a video camera until it fades out or whatever. So they get some kind of documentation of this glow when it happens. So in its liquid form, it has to be sprayed evenly. So I think that's an issue with a lot of true crime shows, like CSI, is they'll come in and just kind of start like spraying it all over the place. And when that happens, you get an inaccurate reading. So you have to spray it in areas where you think the blood could have been based on the information you're already given in the crime scene. Blood traces can appear more concentrated in areas that are sprayed more heavily, which could potentially throw off, mislead, or confuse evidence in the crime.
Right.
So if you spray a certain area 5 times more than you spray anywhere else, it's going to look like that's more concentrated, when in reality, it just has more luminol on it.
Right. It's not the blood that's concentrated,
right.
It's the luminol.
Huh. Yeah. So that could throw off, like, if you think the crime happened on this side of the house, but this side of the house is lighting up more because there's more luminol over here, that could mislead or even kind of cripple your chances of solving this crime.
Right.
So they have to be very careful with where they spray it. Now, the intensity of the glow, like whether it's super, super bright or not really that bright, doesn't indicate the amount of blood or other activator present. It just shows the distribution of trace amounts in the area. So the amount of brightness you get or luminescence that you get from it is not indicative of how much blood is actually there.
Right.
All it does is show that there is some there. That's kind of all you get.
It's a yes or no. It's not a map, like not a topographical map.
Right. It's not going to lead you step 1, 2, 3.
Right.
It's just going to say, like, we think maybe it's a presumptive test, so we're going to say it might have been here, maybe. Yeah. It's important to note, though, at this point, that luminol sensitivity is not blood specific, and it also reacts with other substances like saliva, rust, potassium. Permanganate?
Okay.
Permanganate? Animal proteins, vegetable enzymes, and other organic fluids and tissues. Therefore, luminol tests are not conclusive for blood and cannot be admitted for evidence in court. So, say you have this photo of this room that's just lit up with luminol, like, holy crap, look, this room is definitely full of blood.
Yeah.
Not going to pass in court, because it's presumptive, like we've been saying. It doesn't say anything until it's DNA tested. There
are a lot of things in criminology that are like that, right? Like, they're more to lead you somewhere as opposed to use as hard evidence.
There's a lot of steps in criminology that are like, okay, we found out this thing. But that's, I mean, so the problem with evidence is you have to have hard evidence. You can't have the shadow of a doubt when it comes to a jury or when it comes to setting stuff forward. So if you have some kind of evidence that could be questioned or could possibly not be solidified in the eyes of your jury, that's substantial at that point. It's substantial evidence and it's not going to pass. And then you could potentially lose your case because you didn't have solid evidence. So that's not, you don't want that to happen with your luminol. You don't want to light up an entire room with it. Experienced investigators can often make a reliable indication based on how quickly the reaction occurs in luminol. But they still have to run tests to verify that it really is human blood. So often, you know, like I guess human blood perhaps takes maybe a certain amount of time to bioluminesce or to luminesce. And experienced investigators are going to be like, that took exactly the right amount of time that human blood takes as opposed to animal blood or urine or whatever. But still, you can't come in front of a judge and a jury and say, I'm pretty sure this is human blood. Right. You have to have some kind of like scientific evidence to actually back it up.
Sure.
So luminol won't solve your case outright, but it can point investigators in the right direction. So, for instance, hidden blood spatter patterns can help investigators locate the point of attack, and even kind of sort out what weapon might have been used based on the spatter that's left behind. So, for instance, a bullet is going to leave much different blood spatter behind than like a knife or a blunt, something that with blunt force trauma.
Sorry.
Huh?
I said an axe.
Oh, because of God of War.
Kratos is on my mind.
So, based on the blood spatter that's left behind on the wall, you can kind of like figure out perhaps what kind of weapon it was, and which could help add to your case. Because say like you have the blood spatter on the wall that is similar to what would be left behind from a gunshot wound. Well, you found a gun like hidden at the bottom of a box in the garage.
Right.
We think this could be it. This could be the weapon. You have that little bit of information now based on the luminol to back you up ever so slightly. So that increases the probability that your case is going to go well, but it won't solve the case for you.
It could also like disprove theories early on, right? Where like same scenario, gun in the garage, but you can tell from the blood splatter that it's a knife wound.
Right. I've actually seen this happen before in an episode of Forensic Files. Somebody said that when
shout out to Forensic Files.
Yeah, I love Forensic Files. That someone came into their home and they were defending themselves, but the blood spatter that had been cleaned up showed that that person had actually struck first, based on where the person was in the home. That it wasn't a self-defense like reaction, it was you chased this person down because of the blood droplets on the floor or whatever. Right. You chased this person down and killed them. Like that wasn't self-defense, that was murder. So based on that, I mean it's kind of nice to be able to use luminol to be able to recreate the steps, but as we said, it's not going to solve your crime for you.
Yeah, circumstantial.
Exactly. So luminol can also indicate that there's blood elsewhere that hasn't been cleaned up. So for instance, if there's a large area where there might have been blood before on carpet, investigators might pull up that carpet to see that if it's soaked through, maybe it's in the floorboards beneath, maybe it's gone through.
Wow, that's something I've never really thought about, blood soaking through a carpet.
Neither would criminals. So that's where your luminol comes in.
Hey, I'm thinking like a criminal.
Hey, now you're thinking like a criminal. You're welcome. Now, we've talked about how luminol can help you solve a crime. There are also a lot of problems with luminol.
Okay.
So, there's kind of some drawbacks.
The Losinols.
The Losinols. Yep.
That took me 15 seconds to come up with. I'm sorry.
You were thinking about it for a while?
I thought Lumino for a second. I was like, nah, that's not good.
Lumino's kind of good.
Yeah.
That's kind of good.
Well.
The chemical reaction that takes place when luminol is introduced to the crime scene can destroy other evidence. So, because of this, it's pretty much only used after exploring a ton of other options. So, if you have DNA evidence that's there, like by way of hair or fingernail clippings or whatever, if you use luminol on it, it could destroy that evidence. Right. Though there's been studies recently that have said that there are still some items that have been introduced to luminol that can still be tested and get the DNA from. It's kind of a hit or miss thing. You don't really want to risk it though, if you have the chance. So a lot of scientists or criminologists or criminalists or forensic investigators at this point.
Why are you hitting criminalists so hard?
Criminalist is a very funny word to me.
Okay.
Criminalists.
It sounds like they're just the best criminals.
I'm a criminalist.
Like, I'm a criminal and this is my boss, the criminalist.
Yeah. I'm a criminalist.
Or like a Silver Age Batman villain.
Yeah. Criminalist sounds like somebody who made up their own title.
Yeah, it does.
Like, it kind of, that when I read that today, I was like...
Like, couldn't be like head mafioso, so he's just, I'm the criminalist.
Don't
Why is this guy like a nerd?
Every time I say it, it's like Waluigi. I'm like, I'm a
criminalist.
I'm the criminalist. Don't mess with me. Yeah, I don't know why, but I mean, it's a legit thing, and perhaps if I had gone back to school, I would have been a criminalist. But I don't know why it strikes me as funny. Is it not feeling like a real word? Like not feeling like a real
feel
thing?
Sort of. Because we have criminologists.
Right.
Which seems like it had it covered.
And then a criminalist.
What's the difference? Is there a difference? Was the study of criminals?
This episode's about luminol, not about criminals.
Sure, sorry, but I don't know what the difference is.
I don't know either. We'll talk about that later, I guess.
Let me do my research.
Something kind of hilarious, but also kind of terrible.
Okay.
That's
what's going on my tombstone, by the way.
Hilarious, but also kind of terrible. Something else that can set off luminol?
Yeah.
Horseradish.
What?
Yeah.
This is oddly similar to the what is it? Poppy seeds setting off
oh, I know what you're talking about.
Blood
tests
or
for drugs. Opium.
Opioids. No, it is poppy seeds, right?
Yeah,
poppy
seed bagels can set off like an opiate.
And breathalyzers.
I didn't know it could do breathalyzers.
Yeah, you can fail a DUI test if you've had like a really strong poppy seed bagel.
What? Okay, so if you I was gonna give some really bad advice to the followers of the podcast.
Yeah, don't drink and drive.
If you're ever wasted,
don't drink
just
and drive.
make sure you have a poppy seed bagel with at least one bite taken out of it in the seat next to you, and then take an Uber or a cab, and then drink water and go to sleep at a reasonable time and eat your vegetables. And I love you very much.
Eat vegetables.
Please don't drive.
But not horseradish, because apparently that can
trigger luminol. So there's an enzyme in horseradish which is called I can't say horseradish.
Horseradish?
We've done this before.
Yes.
I say horseradish every time.
Yeah.
Horseradish peroxidase.
Okay.
Which is found in the roots of horseradish.
Right, which is what you usually get of horseradish, right? It's like the big root.
I think so. I don't know.
I think so.
It's a root vegetable, right?
Yes.
It's used extensively in biochemistry applications.
Huh.
Yeah, so that part is used in biochemistry already, which I did not realize that people were using horseradish.
I didn't realize horseradish had any other use than on your
Arby's
Big Montana. And then you're
Arby's
good.
Big Montana. So it's used extensively in biochemistry applications. So the enzyme catalyzes the oxidation of luminol. So it counts as that catalyst that normally hemoglobin would for blood.
Huh.
Now, admittedly, the likelihood that a crime scene is going to be slathered down in
horseradish
is, pretty thin. But it illustrates some of the drawbacks of relying on luminol as the clear-cut indicator of the presence of blood. So, it's nice to have. It's nice to, again, presumptive.
Yeah.
But, again, you can't trust it as the end-all, be-all for there's definitely blood right here.
The end-all. Luminol.
You're gonna try to make luminol jokes.
I'm sorry, it's not a fun word.
It's not a fun word. It's a terrible word. So something else, it can detect a small amount of blood in urine as well. So say if you have a pet that has blood in their urine, maybe they've got a kidney infection or whatever, and they've peed in your floor, and then the luminol picks that up as there's definitely been blood here.
The dog did it.
When really, Fido just had a kidney infection a couple months ago, and you didn't realize it.
Yeah.
And uh-ohs, now you're in prison. Good job.
Thanks, Fido.
Fido, real person that did the crime. McGruff.
Fi did it.
Fi. Is this a... Okay. I don't think you meant to do it, but was that a O.J. Simpson reference? No. He wrote a book called If I Had Done It. If I did it. Yeah. I thought that was real. Oh, no. You should have said yes.
Yes, it was an O.J. Simpson reference.
You should have said yes because it was so good. We'll talk about him someday too. I don't know.
Good. So I wasn't like, real quick sidebar.
Yeah.
I still don't really know everything about the O.J. case other than there was a white Bronco.
Yes.
That he probably murdered the lady, and that his gloves were too small.
Nicole Simpson Brown was her name.
That his gloves were too small, and that Kim Kardashian's dad was there.
And if they don't fit, you have to acquit.
Yeah.
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 There's a lot.
That man's name was Johnny Cochran because it's like a cockroach. Because that's a word that's similar to Cochran.
There's so much story there. We'll talk about it after.
And the judge was Judge Ito? Did I get that right?
Lance Ito.
Played by the guy who's in Wolf of Wall Street on the actual show.
Okay. I thought you were going to say, like, Judge Ito was played by a man. It was not actually Judge Ito. I was like, Judge Ito was Judge Ito. Like, I don't...
Then, Sarah Paulson played some lady in the show.
She played the prosecutor, I believe.
Sure.
I don't remember that lady's name.
Deadwood.
Sarah Paulson was in Deadwood?
Yeah.
I only know her from American Horror Story.
Yeah, before that. She was
in Deadwood. So anyway, luminol. It also, speaking of this conversation, it also reacts with fecal matter. So.
That was your thoughts on the last 5 minutes.
These are my thoughts on the...
Luminol would really light this conversation up.
Oh, no. You're right, though.
Yeah.
Luminol we'd just be glowing blue and green right now, if possible.
I blew myself.
Oh,
I did it good.
It's not super relevant right now, but they just announced that the 5th season of Arrested Development is going to be on Netflix soon.
Hey!
Super soon. And there's a remixed version of season 4 coming.
Okay, I saw something about that.
Not at all related to Luminol, but these are kind of what my episodes are now. It's just like little tidbits of stuff you didn't need to know in between stuff that you probably should know. Another thing that can give you a false...
And arresting.
Another development that's pretty arresting is that you can also get a false positive from a place that's had excessive smoke. So, for instance, like a car that somebody smokes in constantly, that can also give you a false positive with luminol.
Is that, roll with me here.
Oh dear.
Is that because trace amounts of the lung come out with the smoke?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think your lungs leave your body when you smoke.
Maybe like a little bit? Like the tiniest little bit, like the inside's like, it's my time. And it's like...
I don't know.
That's what your lungs sound like, by the way. They're desperate for air.
Sweet dreams, everybody. That's what your lungs sound like at night.
And then they get breath, they're like, hello! And then when you breathe out, it's like, please.
Please stop smoking.
Larry, breathe in.
Everybody's named Larry, by the way.
Yeah, well, that's what lungs think. They only know L words. Let me out.
Alright. As it's water-based, it can also cause the dilution and smearing of blood impressions, which can be a problem because if there is blood there and you spray too much luminol on it and it's on a wall, it's going to start running. So that's going to screw up your blood spatter analysis. Sure. That's going to screw up, like, figuring out what the weapon was, and possibly can mess up the case in general. It's a problem. Don't use it aggressively. If you do
when
get
you're
luminol.
Out there using your own luminol.
When you're out there with your luminol.
your consumer grade luminol.
Yeah.
You got it at the Home Depot.
When you're trying to make sure the cops can't catch you do the crime you just did.
Be careful.
Use your luminol.
Wait, why would you... That would just only give you up, wouldn't it? Unless that shows you where to really clean.
That's what I'm saying, is they can look around and they can be like, how much murder did I do here?
Oh, I did all the murder.
I did all the murder. The cops can tell, goodbye, hello, Mexico. And you leave the country. You just dip. You're done.
And then in the parking lot is a man named Mexico, and he's ready to drive you to the airport.
And he's a very nice man.
Yes.
And we love him very much. Let's talk about the history of luminol.
Okay.
We're kind of running off the rails a little bit. Let's talk about the history of luminol. The compound was first synthesized in Germany in 1902.
Damn.
Yeah. But was not named luminol until 1934.
What was it named?
It wasn't.
Oh, okay.
It was just a compound. It didn't have...
Just a yelling sound.
It was just a...
That's all what German sounds like.
Blood's blue!
Ah! That's what it's called.
Guten Tag! I don't know. That's what it's called.
Wunderbar!
Wunderbar. So in 1928, rather, there was a German chemist named H.O. Albrecht.
Good name.
Albrecht.
Oh!
Albrecht. Found that blood, among other substances, would enhance the luminescence of luminol in an alkaline solution of hydrogen peroxide, which is what we use now.
Yes.
So, kind of a huge deal. Yeah, kind of a huge deal. So this was in 1928, before it even had the name luminol. So he just found out, like, this is a thing. It reacts with blood. This is kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
In 1937, which was a little bit after it was named luminol, there was another German forensic scientist named Walter Specht. Walter, like, respect. Never get no Walter Specht. Made extensive studies of luminol's application to the detection of blood at crime scenes. So specifically crime scene related information now. So before...
This was in the 30s?
Yes, this was 37.
Wow.
1937. So this was just, like 3 years after it was named. They determined that it would be used, it would be applicable for crime scene analysis. So in 1939, 2 years later, 2 San Francisco pathologists made 3 important observations about luminol. And I thought these were super cool. So the first one is, although the test is presumptive, which I've said 50,000 times so far, large areas of suspected material can be examined rapidly. So instead of taking little sections from this crime scene and painstakingly going through and checking the DNA,
smelling them, make sure it's
tasting them, poking them, is there blood here? Nope. Let's try the next little piece of carpet.
Is there blood here?
This little piece of carpet fiber, right?
Yeah.
Instead of doing all that, they could use luminol, go through an entire room and say, okay, we think there's blood possibly there, there, and there. then you can narrow down your sections that you're searching and therefore kind of get that information to the correct places it needs to be, examined in the way that it needs to be, and determine whether or not it actually is blood or isn't blood, is human or animal, etc., in a timely manner to help solve the crime.
Sure.
So dried and decomposed blood gave a stronger and more lasting reaction than fresh blood.
Interesting.
Yeah. I thought that was kind of cool. So I guess
the opposite of the way I would think it would work.
I guess
the oxygen.
Yeah, I guess as it dries, maybe the proteins are a little more.
They start eating.
Maybe they're a little more prevalent. I don't know. It's a little more swole.
Some swole proteins.
You would think. I also think though, why would you need to use luminol if there's fresh blood?
Sure. Right, yeah.
You know, like if it's a fresh enough amount of blood, you should be able to smell it, kind of like blood has that coppery kind of metally smell.
Titty, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like walking into a room where there's blood on the wall, going, "We need some luminol." It's not exactly how that works.
I want to see this blue.
I need to see this glow.
Where's Larry?
It's got to glow. And then third, if luminescence disappears, it can be reproduced by the application of a fresh luminol/hydrogen peroxide solution. Therefore, dried bloodstains can be made luminescent repeatedly.
Right.
Which is nice. You can repeat this thing over and over again. But
Is it endless, or does it have like a half-life?
I would say that you only have so many times you can do this before it, becomes
the protein dies.
And you're going to spray so much that it starts spreading, and then you're going to kind of like mess up your own target area. So I think it's important to note that the CSI team is not the only user of luminol. It's been employed in the laboratory for a range of tests for any combination of the components required in their reaction. So they use luminol for a number of things, like we talked about biology earlier. They use it for a bunch of stuff. So for instance, the luminol glow can be used to determine hydrogen peroxide concentrations in general, just like how much of a concentration of it there is, or to detect the presence of other compounds that could react with necessary catalyst and prevent it from triggering the reaction.
Right.
But there's no doubt that luminol and blood make for an excellent partnership. So, I mean, I think the coolest thing about luminol and the coolest thing about using it in blood spatter analysis or in latent blood detection. So they normally say latent detection because it's something that has since been cleaned, has since been removed. The fact that you can go into a crime scene where someone has used bleach, and also luminol can be triggered by bleach as well. So if you clean the area where there was blood and they spray that area, maybe the blood was like this, but the bleach was like this.
Yeah.
It's going to look like this was all blood.
Sure.
So at that point, the forensic scientists have to go in and test all of that area to see if there's...
was blood.
Yeah. Again, presumptive.
Right.
If this whole area was blood, or at what point we reach blood and what point it's you trying to clean it up.
Yeah.
I think that there's been a couple times that I've again, forensic files, where there have been people who've left footprints in blood and have left their actual like bare footprints in blood, and luminol has solved the case based on that, because there was a man's shoe that's like a size 12 and it has a very specific pattern at the bottom of the shoe. They take 3 suspects, they go through their homes, they find their boots, they line it up, boom, perfect match.
That's always really cool to me.
It's kind of hard to get away from that after that, maybe you have an alibi, but then they're going to start chipping away at other parts of it because they already have this aspect of the case.
The other shoe, they're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
There you go. They've already got this information, and they've kind of already got you, got a magnifying glass on you. Yeah, they've got a magnifying glass on you already. So, luminol's really helped a lot as far as those cases go. I mean, there are drawbacks, as we said. If you cover yourself in horseradish and roll around on your floor, it's going to cause...
You're going to light up like a Christmas tree.
You're going to light up like a Christmas tree. It can cause a false positive. But, for the most part, if you don't kill anybody...
Which don't.
Pro tip, don't. Disclaimer.
Landmark advice.
Disclaimer, don't.
Don't kill anyone.
Don't kill anyone. Signed, Lidi.
And Dorn, wait a minute.
Well, no, they can take you. I gotta tell more people about murder.
Here lies Dorn.
Here lies Dorn murdered.
Episode 478. Dorm's disappearance.
The disappearance of dog. We'll find you with luminol. Just cover yourself if you ever go missing. Cover yourself in horseradish.
Give yourself some breadcrumbs with horseradish.
Yeah,
bits.
if you ever go missing, just cover yourself with horseradish.
What I think maybe is the most interesting thing that I've learned today.
Yes.
Is that I don't know the exact history of a lot of criminology, but it seems like it was really early on, as far as like being in the 30s, like
and still
like
used
being developed, and still
yeah.
being around. That's really impressive to me. I would have guessed like the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really cool to me. I knew a little bit about like maybe reacting with the proteins. I didn't know how it happened, obviously, but I do find it very interesting that horseradish is such a trigger.
That threw me. Like, I could kind of get, like, other aspects of your body, like urine or fecal matter or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it's still parts of the body. But the fact that horseradish or, like,
it's very specifically horseradish.
Yeah, an enzyme within horseradish in the roots of horseradish is going to affect it? Like, that's so strange to me. So...
There's some, like, protein or something that's found only in comets. And then trace amounts in blueberries.
What?
It's like, what?
Are blueberries made of comets?
Yeah, how does that work?
That's really cool.
I forget what it's called, but yeah.
You're going to have to do an episode on that.
I'll have to find out what it's called.
I don't know anything about it.
It's really cool.
That's all the information I have for you about luminol. I'm sure that there's stuff that can fill in the blanks here.
Sure.
But this is the basic information that I know. So, don't trust CSI. Don't trust...
Enhance. That's my favorite. That's my favorite CSI Law and Order thing. It's
Enhance,
like, hey, let's take this image that's like 30 ppi and zoom it in 400%. PPI is pixel per inch, by the way. And
like, listen to you. Oh, fancy man.
PPI would mean.
Fancy man with
like
the
I'm
graphics.
talking about baseball stats. And let's zoom it in 400% and clear up the image. That's not happening. That's not how images work.
It's not how it works.
Not how images work.
That's like bringing somebody a picture of a cow and a farmer behind it milking it and saying, "Can you move the cow? I've always wondered what my grandpa looks like." It doesn't work like that.
Right.
That's not how things work.
But I do like that there is at least a modicum of truth to that sort of, let's dump this bucket of stuff and light it up for 8 hours. Yeah. But there is some bit of science that they're basing that off of.
There's definitely a little bit of science there. It's in any true crime show or any, for that matter, any like drama, like daytime drama or whatever. Sure. There's gonna kind of be this over dramatization of.
It's a caricature.
Yeah. It's going to be, we're going to spray down this whole room and we're going to wear hazmat suits and we're going to go in. Right, and the whole room lights up blue all day. Oh my God, there's blood everywhere. Rave. Yeah, it's blood. Not the case, no. A lot of times, criminals are stupid enough that they just leave the blood out. And in that case, you don't need luminol. If they're smart enough to clean it up, which, by the way, implicates you in the crime... I did say smart enough, but if you're a criminal who's going to clean up after themselves, you're implicating yourself and you're kind of proving that you're guilty. Sure. Innocent people don't clean up blood.
And this is part 1 of Lidi's guide to how not to murder. Don't do a murder.
How to not get away with murder. That's accurate, though.
How I Met Your Murder.
How I Met Your Murder. It's going to be a much better show than that show.
That's our new side podcast about murder. How I Met Your Murder.
I would, at the drop of a hat, do a murder podcast, and you know I would.
I mean, you have the avenue for it right now.
I am my whole yours can be happy and fluffy and about bunnies and puppies, and all of my episodes will be about murder. Yeah. And how you're not going to get away with it.
Because guess what? I, Detective Lidi, am on the case.
Nancy Drew's here to solve the murder.
Can I be your Watson?
To my Nancy Drew?
Yeah.
You be my Bess.
That sounds like a cow's name.
Be my Hardy Boys.
I'll take it. Oh, yeah, Jeff and Matt.
That's not their names. Is that their names? Is that the names of the Hardy Boys?
Yeah, Jeff and Matt Hardy.
No, it's not.
Tag team champions.
Oh, you're doing a wrestling thing.
The Hardy Boys.
You did a wrestling thing, not an actual Hardy Boy thing.
I have no idea what the actual Hardy Boys names are.
Like Joe and something.
Jeff and Matt.
That's why I thought you were legit, and then you weren't. You were legit for like a second.
Oh my God, what if we had a
Joe and Frank Hardy are their names.
Jeff and Matt. What if we had...
Just stop correcting me with Jeff and Matt every time
What if we had a wrestling and murder podcast, which is basically what this is going to be.
Yeah.
But we just called it the Hardy Boys. That's so good.
Well, no, because I'm Nancy Drew.
Okay. Well,
or I can be Sherlock, I guess.
What if you're Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys? And the Hardy Boys are the wrestlers? On the case.
Are you the Hardy Boys?
I'm both Jeff and Matt Hardy.
You're both of the Hardy Boys.
I'm the amalgam of the Hardy Boys.
Oh my god, you have so many arms and legs. How'd it happen?
Oh god. Lidi, where can people find you?
They can find me at twitch.tv/Team Lidi. Where can they find you?
Twitch.tv/Stormstream. Speaking of which, I have this cool shirt on.
I have this cool shirt on. Can you see this? Hold on. You can't.
I'm
Boom!
I'm going to raise mine above my face.
If
you're listening to the audio, sorry for just...
If you're listening to the audio, this is
shirt
just
sounds.
Us holding up our shirts in front of our faces because mine says Stormstreams.
And mine says Team Lidi, but it looks like the Overwatch logo.
It does look like the Overwatch logo, but we can't say that because we'll get sued.
It looks like the Undersea logo. Oh, I didn't mean to do Undersea.
Under the sea.
Looks like the Underview logo.
I'm not going to look at you because I know you're proud of yourself.
Made by Inferno.
I can see that you're proud of yourself.
Makers of Globe of Militia made.
Anybody who's listened this far in this podcast deserves a gold star.
You can pick up these shirts that
you can.
We are wearing on our person.
You can put us on your bodies.
Anywhere on your body that a shirt will go.
Or maybe where a shirt won't go.
My roommate once woke up with his shirt as pants. He had put both of his legs, or one leg through each armhole, and so he just had an open hole in his crotch. He was wearing underwear, but he just needed pants in the middle of the night, so he put on his shirt.
Small miracles. Designed by humans.
.com/shop/Lidi and Dorm.
I think that's right.
Yeah, it'll be throughout the show, but
we also have a P.O. box.
Yes.
We also have a P.O. box now. If you'd like to send us a letter, or
I can put that in the description, by the way.
If you would like to receive your gold star for making it this far in the podcast, just write me a letter that says I deserve my gold star.
I want my gold star.
I want my gold star, please, Lidi.
We just send them chili.
And I will send you some gold star chili. No, I will send you a gold star. I'll give you a gold star. I'll do it.
You heard it here first.
I'm a woman of my word.
You can buy shirts to clothe yourself with. Mm-hmm. Or you can buy stars to put on your forehead.
You don't have to buy them. I'll give them to you. Just write me a letter.
You can buy them with a letter.
Buy them with your love.
And that is your Tinder.
I'm not on Tinder. I'm on Bumble. Just kidding. I don't understand how technology works.
Until next time.
Watch where you click. And don't get murdered.
That's not ours, though.
Oh, shoot. We can't use that one.
That one's...
Well... We can pin that.
That one's copyright.
My favorite murder. Don't get murdered. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Until next time.
Yeah.
Be careful where you click.
Hey now, Luminol star.
You have been working on Luminol jokes this entire time, and who even are you anymore? I don't. You're so.
Luminol the small things.